Hi, this is Pat Moorhead, and welcome back to the 6.5 Summit Day 3. We are talking all about security, multiple ways to secure systems, environments, software, hardware, services, and it's my pleasure to introduce Gopi from Axiado. Gopi, how are you?
Not bad, Pat. Thank you for having us on here. It's our honor to be in the good company.
Absolutely. And it's been great getting to know you over the years. We met first at Qualcomm, where you quite frankly shook up the entire networking industry, and then I'm sure you figured, hey, what other industries can I disrupt out there, right? And data center security is where you landed, and it's been really exciting to be chronicling the journey that Axiado is on. So maybe a best place to start is last week you introduced the TCU, or what we call the Trusted Control or Compute Unit. Maybe talk about what is it and what problem does it solve?
So, first of all, thank you. Yeah, at Qualcomm, we did a Wi-Fi mesh. That was just now me. Obviously, we were a full team to be able to deliver. It makes a team and a village to make it a success. So we half of the team is the mention. I mentioned that because half of the team isn't here with me to do it again, and this is a team effort. So coming to we announced a product called Trusted Compute and Control Unit. This is a first of a kind in the market. What we do is you see it as a complementary to a product like a DPU. A DPU does for the data center side, and this is a data center on the LAN port side. This is a control and management port. So what we're replacing is similar to that as a control and management side, gives the similar functions as DPU, and it's a single chip, a platform security product, and integrates multiple chips was trying to address in the market today, which is a BMC, TPM, root of trust, and a combination of either LAN and motherboard or FPGA combinations. Gives you flexibility of programmability on that. We also offer, along with this chip in an OCP compliant, Open Compute Platform compliant product called DCSCM, Data Center Secure Control Module. So we are a single chip based DCSCM product. So we offer chip and also the card.
Yeah, it's incredible how much popcorn you see on. That's my technical term, of course. Gopi is popcorn. uh, to secure these motherboards, regardless of what environment there is, whether they're a hyperscaler data center, whether they're an enterprise data center, whether they're in a carrier and on the edge. Pretty much this technology with the combo of root of trust, TPM, BMC, and LAM, you pretty much see everywhere. And I was also very pleased to see OCP come in with a standard, so we don't see 27 different spot implementations out there. So we talk about security in broad terms. In fact, we have 7 presenters in security in this track that are coming at it at somewhat of a different angle. Okay, whether a different thesis, a different place in the security value chain. A lot of it is based on the problem they solve. Some companies are taking a holistic view, like hey, we're the one-stop shop for zero trust, but security is somewhat fragmented out there. So the question I have about the TCU is, how is it different from other cybersecurity solutions in this space, and does it address elements that I know this space really didn't help much with, and that's ransomware?
Yeah. So number one is, as you talked about, cybersecurity is the biggest thing in the market right now. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people are trying to address. Most of, and 99% of those are addressing in a software. So mostly, ransomware as a thing, as a definition, is somebody compromised the credentials, and however he came into the system, and it comes to whether it's a kernel, whether it's an application, whether whatever the software application or driver server you're running it, it comes through that. But he'll go for your money chest, which is your hard disk or the platform, where he'll take over as encrypting the hard disk, or taking over the system as a super user. And that's where, unfortunately, once all these zero trust model softwares in the market believes in something called immutable root of trust, and they assume that is immutable today. That's the
Right.
bigger flaw in every of the platforms in the market today, or every solutions. What we come into the picture exactly addressing, making that real immutable root of trust, taking it by reducing the platform surface of threat surface is called, where you call the popcorn, which is a multiple chips in there. That means attack places are more and more weakness can come in. If something happens and you have to be able to, go to everybody to get the updated driver to work through. So what we do is not only just integrating, specifically addressing the TCU addresses, something we call in a buzzword and in an easy way to do it in a one word or two word sentences. It's an AI driven hardware anchored security. So what we added is our AI is a little different than what's outside in the market. Mostly outside is called computer vision based AI, and AI's definition is not that, but that's what is been used in the market. What we do is our inferences are more packets information, but able to detect the behavioral anomaly detection, able to, and we train the models to be how the ransomware look like inside of the hardware. So we take every attack in the market has been reported, we trace that back to how the hardware side looks, and our AI learns that way. So our TCU onboard AI platform security we call, able to look for those bad patterns which we already know, and if there is something we can stop in the tracks. So we may be the one of the architectures, the only one of the architectures in the market where we can detect ransomware while it is happening, and you can make a rules engine to be able to stop it or collect the forensic data. So even in case we cannot stop, you have a forensic data to go back and look at it. That's way. The third one is, because it's an AI and machine learning, we not only learn and stop and detect and stop today, but we actually able to predict for the future. Most of the zero-day attacks in a first day, we call it as a zero day because we don't understand that yet. But we can predict. These are all 9 out of the 10 are mostly rinse and repeat attacks or flavors of these attacks, what has been there. Because you're throwing it to the AI engine, it's able to predict. It's a neural network engine. We got a 4 teraops of AI engines inside on the chip, and they do all inferencing on the chip itself. So we should be able to detect, I won't say 100% of them because everybody gets smarter, but we can detect much better than what's here today. And not only that, as a stats wise, today for a ransomware attack or any breach to be detected, it takes approximately 30 days to 90 days, depends on where the setup is on any data center. We should be able to detect in within seconds, if not milliseconds. So
Yeah,
that's a value we bring up. We're not replacing any of the software solutions in the market, but we're actually augmenting everybody.
no, that's important because there's been a lot of industry work that's gone into protecting this, and this is one of these areas that some people just don't want to change unless there's a really good reason for it. And I think you've given them a very good reason for it. Fundamentally, these solutions were very locked in and very non-upgradable to upcoming maladies and malware. And there's nothing else I've learned about security in the past 30 years is that hackers attack on an ROI basis, which is the least work for the biggest payoff. And they hit areas that have been neglected from time to time. And I do believe that this is an area on the server motherboard that has been neglected in the past. If nothing else, it's not upgradable to the new attacks. So it's hard for me as an analyst to have a conversation over the past 2 months and not talk about AI, okay? And I'm not confused. I do separate between fads like NFTs and trends like AI. But bringing out something like the TCU takes an incredible amount of foresight and planning. And whether we want to debate it was 3 years, 4 years ago, you had to make the bet on a specific amount of blocks and transistors that you dedicated to that AI that you alluded to a little bit. Can we talk a little bit more about the AI capabilities of the TCU?
Yeah, so I talked about one on the ransomware. So what we do is train the models on based on the existing attacks, how the hardware fingerprints looks like. We train that to our AI engine. There are 4 engines inside. One does that function, so we can detect anything. And I talked about we look for a behavior anomaly, whether it's a user, whether it's a port. So physical security is also a protection we provide. So if somebody comes and plugs in USB stick and trying to put some kind of ransomware or any malware attack into coming into, we'll be able to detect by the hardware level before even enumeration of the hardware. So we protect every iOS around it. Everything is encrypted. And any power analysis way of an attacks also we protect. That's one of the AI focus. And the last one is sensor AI, we call it. So basically everything on a motherboard, every sensor from power rails, voltage, thermal, clock, fans, etc., even the system opening also. We all those sensors, we build a heuristic telematics data, the learning behavior on site will learn, and then able to see the detection of that particular event happening. Let's say clock glitch happening, voltage glitch happening. You know exactly where the system is, that authentication of the system is happening, and you give a glitch. That means it's a critical time. The glitch is not the right way. It could be your side channel attack. So we protect right there itself. We go for multi-factor authentication. Let's say if you answer all of them, we collect the forensic data, push to the cloud. So you have these data. So there are multiple stages of these to be able to do it. And on the ransomware side, just in case we're looking for a bad pattern, we're looking for a behavior anomaly. Let's say if both of them we found that is not a bad packet based on the training you have it, but it's still behavior is something abnormal in here. So what to do with this, we have a updated service as a data lake on the cloud powered by generative AI algorithms. So we use outside what has been in the market. So rather than reinventing the wheel, we take the generative AI engines to be able to get trained on the cloud. So inferencing happens on the chip, but the training happens on the cloud with the generative AI systems, and then bring it back the training to be able to back into the models to the system in your platform system in there to protect against. So we will be able to do a lot faster all this process in a base compared to what would have been a days and everything. We would be less than seconds. So
it sounds very beneficial to a lot of different markets, but product management, business 101, you can't target everybody everywhere. What are some of the customers that are showing interest? Who did you build this for?
So initially, obviously, you're right. Startup company has to stay focused, but we will be. There is a lot of interest for the other market, but the target markets to start with is a lot of inputs came from bigger CSPs, CTOs, technologies from these companies are data centers, and then the 5G base stations, and now is enterprise switches, everything on the top of the rack switches. Those three with the same product with a little bit of variations we are addressing. Back to again, data centers could be a CSP-based cloud service providers, or co-located data centers, or enterprise data centers, all of them to be. And then plus every 5G base station, especially RAN side, where your multi-tenant and multi-node applications are, which is authentication is needed. And then the switches, especially the high-end switches right now, trying to use this one too also. We do have a customers which started building the POCs for these things. So those three are the first market. But we do get the interest from the laptops, set-top boxes, and automobile.
Exactly.
Everybody's asking. So all these guys are asking, but this is a little bit bigger with every encryption and cryptos are a lot bigger to the comparison of where it can go to the smaller size chips needed for the other markets, but the bigger volume for that. So we'll focus on the first generation to be these three markets: data centers, base stations, and switches.
Yeah, one of the things I really appreciate that you did is you worked very closely with OCP,
Yes.
Open Compute Project, that is essentially a standards body for all things scale and non-proprietary. And a lot of these markets, data centers, network switching, OEM, ODMs, particularly CSP, and a lot of enterprise, they're looking for standards that the body has worked on. And that's one of the biggest reasons I think companies that abide by and help create OCP standards, once you fit in, you can address multiple segments. And your card, by the way, is a lot smaller than I would have expected, right? So it's not like, you've got some big difference between, an environment that's fanless versus fanful. So it allows you to go into multiple markets. I remember the first time we met and you showed me the card, and I was wondering in my head, is this it? Right? I mean, that's really small, and particularly because it's replacing so many parts. And it's not just a replacement play, right? An integration play, but you're adding a heck of a lot more functionality to it as well. So I absolutely like the story. So let's talk about availability. I mean, you're a startup, you're nimble, smaller company, but you have a lot of experience in much larger companies and know how to productize and get these things to market. When is it available?
So it's available now. We just announced, as you talked about last week, we are, we've been working at this one. This is a complex chip with a combination of ARM and RISC-V processors and custom instructions and all that stuff. So it took a time, but now we got the product and it's all working. It's been in the lab for 8 weeks already. So we're sampling to the customer. It is in the hands of some customers right now at Computex. So we're going to be showing this to also and playing this to the market. And so it's available now, simple, in a card form or a chip form. So, and definitely the OCP comment you made, we're thankful for that, and the whole OCP able to push this in the market. The DCSCI connector makes it easy for everybody to be not only just using a replacement part if that's in case something happens for them, but you're reusing the compute power what you have, and you don't need to throw away the whole system when anything bad happens. So those are also our special values, how you can commission, decommission the products, etc.
So, Gopi, I want to thank you for coming on the 6.5 Summit and talking about the TCU and all the benefits that it can bring to security. You know, we have a combination of the largest tech companies and some of the smallest, most innovative and nimble companies. And I thought you really did a great job explaining it. So, yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. And for the all audience, we're going to be showing this as a Computex demos. So we welcome everybody to come up and see. You'll see this as an action completely, how we are attacking and able to stop we predict, able to detect the attacks and, show it everything and network anomaly detection, all kind of variances what we just talked about. You can get to see that in live. So.
Yeah, and for the audience, we'll be sure to put those Computex demos in the show notes, and you can go check it out for yourself. I've also written a Forbes article that was before Computex that gives a little bit of a breakdown on the technology and a more insights and strategy point of view of how we're looking at it as well. So thanks a lot, Gopi. Hopefully you can come back on the show later in the year and tell us how it's going.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, thanks. Let's do that again. So
that's good. This is Pat Moorhead for the 6.5 Summit, Day 3, talking all things security. And there are so many threats out there. We're in this AI spy versus AI spy environment now. And you've got to bring your best of AI everywhere you are in the security chain. And that's exactly where the TCU fits. Please stick around for more of Day 3 content, but also because we've recorded it, you can go also check out Day 1 and Day 2 content as well. Wherever you are on the planet, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Thanks.